Hey there, everybody. Brodnax here with another episode of Stager Talk, and I am so excited today because we have the woman, the myth, the legend, the man, the myth, the legend, Minch and Todd McAllister. Welcome both. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm super excited. I will tell you, years and years and years, we've been doing this a long time together, known each other for over 15 years. And let me tell you, people, if you are listening right now and you want to learn anything about, first of all, you want to learn anything about anything, these are the people to go to. But specifically, they're going to talk at RESACON this year, wholesale, retail, and everything in between, and how you can supercharge your inventory buying. This is a super important topic because there's a way to buy and there's a way not to buy. There's so many mistakes that can be made and that you can avoid them. And thank goodness that Michelle and Todd have made all those mistakes already. So you don't have to.
We've made them for you.
Made them for you. You know, it's so funny whenever people talk about, you know, experts and everything and, you know, people just look at you like, oh, you're an expert and you just know everything. And like, you didn't ever hit any bumps in the road. And it's like, no, an expert means that I saw those obstacles in the road and I built shit on top of it after I tore it down because I wrecked it. And you have to build it back up, right?
You want to see my American Express card?
Yeah, there you go. Oh, do you get points?
Oh yeah, I have, right now I have over, I think I have like 1.2 million points.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It's
I love it. Yeah, for sure. So let's talk wholesale. What I think a lot of people, I think there's a natural progression in staging, people get into staging. They don't have $100,000 to invest to go out and buy inventory right off the bat. So you start out and you start doing the consultations and those work into the occupieds, and then you get a little bit more confidence under your belt. And then you go out and you say, okay, I'm going to rent furniture now. And then I'll get some storage space to store my pillows and tchotchkes and all that great stuff. And then there's a turning point, and it really seems to be year 3 to 4 in my experience, where people say, you know what, I think I'm ready to make that jump. And then they start buying wholesale. What are some key indicators that you would say would need to be present where somebody would really want to consider doing that and making that move? Michelle, I'll start with you.
I used rental furniture for the first 9 years that I was in business.
There you go.
It was working out fine, but then they brought in a new manager and doubled my prices, and I no longer felt that I could be competitive. So I went to a bank and I got a business line of credit, and at that point I was in a 2,000 square foot warehouse. I found an 8,000 square foot warehouse and started spending that line of credit. So for me, I was kind of pushed into buying wholesale, and I figured I was spending about $400,000 a year on renting furniture. So no matter how much buying wholesale cost me, it would still be less than renting furniture. So that was my impetus.
Wow, that's incredible. Todd, how about you?
I think for us, the transition was when, it was a kind of a twofold thing. I think part of our growth was we realized we needed to do wholesale when we started to turn business away, because we're like, we need to figure out what's going on. And at the time, we were still really young into all this, so we really didn't have a lot of competition. But what we did realize is a lot of our profits were being eaten up by the purchasing of, you know, wholesale, not even wholesale furniture, but going to our local vendors and just getting, you know, a 10% discount or whatever. And what we started to realize is, you know, we were going over there and buying one thing at a time, and we would like to buy 2 or 3 of that one thing, but they didn't have it. So then we had to pivot right away and go somewhere else. And it started to be a huge time suck because we were driving just all over town, chasing things. And it started to quickly add up. So like, you know, we were shopping literally 7 days a week. I felt like all I did was shop 7 days a week, morning to night. And we would stage on the weekends, and we were staging houses till 2 o'clock in the morning. And we just could not figure out where we were going to go to get our wholesale furniture. And I went to market and nobody was interested in us at the time because it was staging. You know, what's staging? No one was interested. You're not a brick and mortar. So we were shut down at the first market, and I'm frustrated because I'm like, we've got money to spend. We saved money up to buy wholesale, but we couldn't get our foot in the door. So kind of long story short is I had some friends that owned local mattress companies here in town. They had mattress stores. And so we were able to get through Sean and Sherry, we were able to kind of get in to Ashley Furniture on their behalf a little bit. And we dropped 10 grand. And the second we got that account, we became a legitimate business in other vendors' eyes. So
Yep.
it was a transition point there, but we had to fight like hell to get that first order. But buying wholesale, I mean, there's pluses and minuses to everything. You go into retail, you pay retail, and you walk away with it. With wholesale purchasing, you have to assemble the furniture. You've got to do all of those things that retailers do that you pay for up front. So there's pluses and minuses to everything in the world. But for us, buying wholesale was the pivoting point that changed the profitability of our business.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, I've known Michelle's story about her transition, and when I realized how much was going into the rental, I was like, wow, you're putting people's kids through college. And it's like, when you look at something like that, and it's not that they don't have a good offer. They have good offers. It works. It worked for 9 years. It was great. But at some point you just you're like you said, you're either forced out or you grow out of it. And then you have to decide, what do you want your business to look like? And I think it both worked out beautifully for y'all to be able to do it. And of course, there are other things to be able to consider. You've got the logistics and the putting the furnitures together, and how are you going to store it? Where are you going to store it? And I like Michelle's idea. She's always told people she's built up, and it's a mezzanine. Say it, Michelle. Mezzanine. Build up. Don't take the sofas up there, people, because you're not going to get them down. So I'm going to be very efficient. But yeah, exactly. All their light stuff go up on top. And so you can, use that vertical space instead of, going out more. And I think also a lot of times people will take their storage units and say, okay, well, I'm going to go and get 5,000. And they're like, oh, wait a minute. And they move in and it's full. And they're like, uh-oh.
For me, a storage unit is one house of furniture, like a 3,000 square foot house.
Yep.
Fill up one 10 by 20 storage unit. So it's, and that's the most expensive warehouse space that you can own or use is storage units.
Yeah. Well, what stagers are doing now, I know at least one. I'm sure there's others out there, but I know one just because I know her building her own building.
Right.
You can
that in Pasadena.
Yeah, you can build your own building or buy your own building. And then when you sell your business, that's a company asset. That makes it even better.
Right.
What a sweet deal that's going to be for somebody one day.
Mm-hmm. I know a few that own their own buildings.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want
you don't want to say?
Well, I don't know. I don't have their permission to mention them.
But it's exciting. It's definitely exciting to see people to be able to go out and do that. It's really the difference in the last 21 years that I've seen in the industry where, people were doing this and they were fledgling businesses and everybody wanted to be a real business. And everything started out just kind of being a hobby, and everything's changed over the years. I too, Todd, was trying to get into the furniture markets for stagers on stagers' behalf. It's like knocking on their doors. 6 years it took me. Every single year calling till finally light bulbs went off, and it was like, oh, thank you. Now it all works, and they welcome stagers into what it is that they're doing. So we're excited because part of what we do at RESACON is, we want to give everybody the education, which thank goodness you're on board to be able to do that with this particular topic. And then after RESACON, we're going to go over and take a tour of the Las Vegas market. So anybody that's there, that's new, that doesn't have their feet wet yet and needs a little bit of hand holding, we'll take them on a personal tour of everything and go into all the different showrooms that we work with and show them how to navigate the market, which is actually pretty easy once you digest it. It looks overwhelming when you first walk in, but in reality, it's 3 buildings, A, B, and C. Use the elevators or the escalators and shop. It's that easy. It really is that easy. They have a directory, see where you want to go.
I will say, when people are just starting out buying wholesale, the larger the order you can place, the more attention you're going to get. So if you walk in and you just want to buy a sofa and 2 end tables and a coffee table, you're going to, fewer doors are going to be open to you.
Mhm.
You walk in there and you've got $10,000 to blow at, Uttermost or wherever it is.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, everybody's going to want to be your best friend.
Yeah.
So-
This is true. This is true. Let's talk about shipping for orders. People always ask, I just did a new member orientation earlier this morning, and people worried if they're buying wholesale that they have to have a shipping dock, which is not always true. For a lot of the box goods, they ship, FedEx and UPS a lot of times to be able to get that to you. But what about receiving docks? I know you both have your own buildings that you're in, but have you ever used a receiving station or a receiving dock with somebody?
Well, my last 8,000 square foot warehouse did not have a loading dock, just ground level. And all you have to do is let the delivery company or the vendor that you're purchasing from know that you need a delivery with a lift gate. And they'll show up with a lift gate and a forklift and offload for you. Some delivery companies charge a little bit more. Usually it's around $75. But most of them are like, okay, thanks for letting us know. So,
Awesome.
yeah. So
Well,
you really, it's definitely helpful to have a loading dock, but you don't have to have one. I have a loading dock now at my current warehouse, and we use it sometimes, and but most of the time not. So.
Very good. Very good. So are you guys going to cover like the logistics of the inside of the warehouse, how to maybe store some art and glassed items? And those are so many lampshades, man. The lampshade controversy, it's like, it makes people head spins about the lampshades, man.
Right?
I would love to find a lampshade solution.
I'm telling you, I know a lot of people are using the pedicure liner bags to put over the tops of them. I would think as you can get even your shades as close to the same style as possible, or the same types of look, multiples of them, and
Right.
Store them up all together.
They're fragile. They're
Yeah.
just, and they're not meant to be moved, 8 times a year or whatever. So they're going to get damaged and you're going to have to buy new ones. I've basically given up. We keep ours stored in large plastic trash bags, and we put them in a cardboard box when we're transporting them, but they still get damaged. They get too squished together or whatever. And for me, it's given up on trying to figure out lampshades.
Yeah.
Todd,
what are you doing? He wants in on the convo.
So we came up with something, and I'm not sure where we came up with it, but we transport our lampshades now in big giant garbage cans. And the garbage can is rigid enough with a lid on it. So we stack all the lampshades, as many as we can, in the garbage can, and then that goes into the truck. And that is for us and we just started doing this probably about maybe a year or so ago, and it's actually been working quite well. So like Michelle says, we cause all of our own internal damage. And a lot of the stuff we use is not made to be, used and taken off 400 times, that we stagers use it in general. So you kind of have to come up with out of the box thinking and ways to kind of protect because your inventory is what brings you the money. That's your money maker right there. And the more you can take care of it and preserve it for longer periods of time and not have to spend more money on buying furniture, the more profitable your business is going to be. Because a lot of times, let's just say you spend $100,000 on wholesale inventory and you use it for so many different times, you go to have a sale, you're not going to sell it, you're not going to sell it for $100,000. You might sell everything for, 10 or 20,000. So you're kind of in theory in the whole 80 to buy all new again. So you kind of have to get longevity out of your inventory. And that's what Michelle and I, are going to chat about, different ways you can do that and have a successful business.
Yeah, I love garbage cans are great for all kinds of stuff.
garbage.
Yeah.
Horse grain.
Oh, yeah.
Horse
Uh-huh.
grain. In the barn, I've got every horse has their own special recipe concoction up on a whiteboard, and then the garbage can with, Sharpie writing on whose it belongs to and how much they get. They're awesome.
Right.
It's a game changer, man. I'm telling you.
I think
Well, I'm super-
Stagers we're a unique little group of business owners. And it's like, we're kind of designers, but then we're not. And, we're retail, we're real estate marketing. So, but because we do what we do, we have to come up with out of the box solutions to a lot of problems that we have that most people don't think about. And I'm typically not one to sleep a lot. I get up early in the morning. I'm sometimes at the office. I was here this morning about 6:30, and I think about a lot of stuff, and it's my quiet time to think. So yeah, I think it's interesting, to have people come to RESA. I'm a big believer in people that are just starting out, people that have been in this business. I'm coming up on 20 years in May. I still think you can still learn from everybody, because a lot of the newbies coming in, have a different thought process than people have been doing it for 20 years. So they bring fresh ideas. So I think that's what's nice about RESACON is everybody from the whole spectrum comes together and you can all learn from each other. And I continue to learn stuff, online in the Facebook groups every day.
Yeah,
I have never gone to a RESA convention and not learned really valuable game-changing techniques or, different ways of thinking, or about financing, or about, it's been incredibly valuable to me in building my business.
Yeah, I love it. I love to hear feedback like that. It's definitely a labor of love. We will call it that. Every year it's, you want to get the right speakers in, and boy, this year we were looking at all the subjects and we're like, man, what happened? There's been a shift, and just a whole different, it was a lot of fresh stuff, a lot of kind of different slants on things. And so we're super excited to continue to launch our speakers out. We're getting those messages out this week. And I think you guys were the first session speakers that were released this week. So congratulations.
Yeah, we're deadly together.
I'm entertained.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you,
It's
there's
like
no
most-
better people to learn from. I mean, like I said, you guys combined amount of years in the industry and your experiences, and you both are creative analytics, and staging's always right brain, left brain, and you've got to kind of have both. And if you don't, you got to find somebody else with the other parts of the brain that you're missing in order to make it work.
I'm
Yep.
looking for that person.
You got a team of people.
And Michelle and I, I'm a huge believer in you got to have fun in whatever you do. And real estate in general is just completely stressful. Doesn't matter if you're buying a house, selling a house, you're staging it, you're the photographer, whatever it is, it's a bunch of stress. And so I kind of like to have fun and bring fun to the party a little bit and to kind of relax people. And I think that's what Michelle and I are kind of like an old married couple. It's like, it's like, I like to not, and, a long time ago, I would be worried to rehearse going to these presentations and rehearse and worrying about screwing up and everything. And I think there's a certain amount of calmness or a certain amount of
Relaxation.
Yeah, because you've done it enough, and I don't want to say we wing it, but we do wing it. And I think the more genuine you are with people during your presentation and the more real you are, the more entertained people are and the more they get information out of it, because you're not trying to be that perfect person. And I think, as you age, you get a certain amount of, you don't care what people think about you anymore. And it's really freeing. It is really freeing. And it's like, people are like, when you realize they're there to learn, they're not there to judge or whatever else, the pressure's gone. And I think you get the most interaction out of people.
Right. And we're open to people asking questions the course of the presentation, because we feel like that feeds audience interest.
Yeah. Well, it's good. So all these sessions are like mini workshops where people are able to engage and talk back and forth about even real life situations. So if you're listening and you are sitting on Michelle and Todd's session, you can actually bring a real life situation, ask a question about it, and they're going to probably have a solution for you. So it's very interactive. It's not just two people standing up yip yapping at you, for sure.
Right.
Well, Yeah, I think too that there's a certain amount of fear just in general. If you ask a question, like people are going to think that you're stupid or you're less than or whatever. And I can tell you what, Michelle and I, we have effed up multiple times in what we've been doing, and you always, huh?
Speak for yourself.
Okay.
She's perfect, Todd.
I know. But I think you have to let people know as seasoned stagers, yeah, we screw up, still screw up, and it's okay. And I think
We
there's
still
always a certain, yeah, there's a certain fear that if you don't try something and you fail, it's like we have failed at our business, and that we have failed at so many different things. And I think fear of failure is what holds a lot of people back.
It does, because you know what, when people talk about failure, they have this mindset like failure's the end. It's nothing happens after that. And it's like, no, failure, that's the first step in fixing a problem. That's the blessing that's coming to you. You just got to switch your mindset. It's not that you failed at something, it's just the results of what happened. And now you can analyze those results, change them, make it better, and grow from it and move on. And it's just a mind shift issue.
Yep.
Mhm. It's a opportunity.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Total opportunity. We
Yeah.
do.
I always like to try and figure out solutions. I like puzzles. I hate jigsaw puzzles, but I see life as a big puzzle. I see my business as a big puzzle, and I love to figure out those puzzle pieces. So
Yeah, absolutely. We do at RESA, when something goes wrong, something happens, whatever system we're using, so there's a failure some way, we reverse engineer it, do an autopsy on it. What went well, what didn't go well, what am I going to do different next time? Because if there's a mistake being made, you have to backtrack it to figure out why it happened, and then figure out how to make sure it doesn't happen again. And it's the same thing in any business. You have to do that. And I mean, there are failures and technology issues and things that are out of your control, and you just have to fix it, put a Band-Aid on it.
there's this thing called employees.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing. It's amazing how much more you can get done with people.
Yeah. And also the complexity that they add the whole situation.
Yeah, for sure. You definitely have that. I definitely like to, I'm not a micromanager. I'm sure probably everybody knows that. I want to hire good people who want to own their role, and I get out of their way. And it's like, just get out of their way, man. They'll do their good job. If they're that person you hire correctly, you're going to have somebody who's going to have just as much vested in your business as you do. And you don't have to micromanage them, and they can be part of the solutions. And the only drawback sometimes is when they end up being the part of the problem, and it's not a good fit. But that's another session at RESACON. I'm sure we're going to cover that too.
Are we having somebody speaking about managing employees, or?
Yeah, teams. We've got some HR things coming up. We've got legal. So, you know, the big thing with the hiring 1099 versus W-2 debacle that nobody understands, and 90% are doing it wrong. We're going to talk about that again, because it's always important to remind everybody. But yeah, how to hire the right team to hire, how to get them going, integrate them into your team.
Right. That's excellent.
Yeah.
That's great. I would look forward to seeing that session.
Yep, absolutely. Well, we're at the end of our time already. I swear these 30 minutes go by like that.
When you're having fun.
You're having fun, man. Any last words, Michelle?
Everybody who can go to RESA should go to RESA. There's no good excuse short of being in the hospital or a tornado knocking out your local airport that you shouldn't go. It will help you grow your business. It will make your business life so much better, which will spill over into your personal life. You'll get to network. You'll get to meet all these people that you're friends with on Facebook and Instagram. I think there's been 13 so far, or is this the 13th one? Do you know?
Since 2009.
Right.
I can't math backwards.
This will be the 14th one. I've been to every one. I love going, and I can't wait to see everybody.
Todd, last words?
I agree with Michelle. It's like, I think it doesn't matter how long you've been in the business. Everyone can learn something. And I think too, where I think I've learned a lot of the little staging nuggets that people talk about is a lot of times in kind of the evening mixers and things, when people break out and, do little cocktail groups or this or that, and they get into smaller, intimate little groups of, 10 or 20 people or whatever. That's when you start to just hash out the business stuff, really, the nuts and bolts of a lot of stuff. And I think, the presentations are amazing. The whole environment is amazing. And I think it's just, I don't want anyone to think because, Michelle and I are kind of, entrenched in this. We're kind of the grandparents of all this so far, but I just want people to think, that we're not untouchable. Come up and talk to us. We're friendly. And, we enjoy giving back. And I think, if something that Michelle or I can say that will help someone, just some random thing, more the better.
We're happy to do it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a good feeling. I like when I know that I've helped somebody, like when I do a coaching call and I hang up, I'm like, yes, nailed it. It's like, and they feel the energy that you have put into them and they walk away so empowered. And I think that's one of a good word for RESACON is that people walk away empowered. And if you went to RESACON before and it was at the Treasure Island, it was a much smaller event. You haven't been back, come back and try us again. We're at the M Resort. It's absolutely stunning. If you went in July at the Hilton, was not our normal stop. Just so everybody knows, was not on purpose.
Yeah.
Was out of sheer desperation because they're choosing venues. Everybody thinks, oh, you just go to Caesars or go here. It's like, no, y'all, you don't understand event planning. Does not quite work that way.
Yeah.
We would be the program, our size would be like this compared to when Ford Motor Company comes in and they take up this much of their energy and we're this. So the service is not the same, but the M, we got that one dialed in. It's a stellar luxury resort. Not a lot of smoke anywhere. What were you going to say, Michelle?
It's really nice. I'm so happy that we're back at the M.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. All right, everybody. You heard it here first from these two legends, Grandma and Grandpa Stager. Todd said it, not me.
Love you, Michelle.
Love.
Check us out. Get to RESACON. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Stager Talk. Michelle, Minch, Todd McAllister, I really do appreciate everything you do for the industry. Thank you so much. And to everybody else, until next time, happy staging. Bye.
Bye.
That's a wrap. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.